Hey guys, this is Jonathan and welcome to a C++ tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to input text, or in this case, a number, and store it in a variable. Before we get started, I just want to have a look at this cout command, because it is going to be very similar to our input command. In cout, what we do is we have the cout command, and then two arrows, and then all of the things that we want to output. When we're inputting text, what we type in is cin. This is very natural. Also, instead of having the arrows pointing to the left, we now point them to the right, because instead of outputting text, we're now inputting. We're going the opposite direction here. And what we have to do is take the cin and store it as a variable. So in this case, we'll call it num1. Now, before we can store it as a variable, we have to initialize this variable. We have to declare it, that it exists and what it is. So what we'll do is we'll say int num1. Now, in our previous tutorial on variables, we always not only initialize the variable, but also set its value. So for instance, int num equals 5, but you don't have to. And in this case, there's no point, since it'll be right away being changed to whatever the C input value is. And so what's going to happen here is num1 is going to be initialized, and then whatever the user types will be stored in that variable, supposing it's a number. I suppose if we did words or something crazy would happen. And then what we want to do is output whatever our input was. So we'll type in cout, and then we will put in your number was, a space, and then num1. All right. So hopefully this will work. Now let's run it. And the cursor's blinking. It must be waiting for us. You can see that it hasn't yet outputted all these things, because cin makes the program stop and wait until something has been entered. The code does not continue on. So we'll put in 5, and now it outputs your number was 5. This is exactly what we wanted to happen. So it is working correctly. However, just with this cursor blinking here, it's not very intuitive that we're supposed to do something. For all we know, it could be just sitting here thinking. So what we want to do is first say input a number. So we will just add that right before this cin. We'll say input a number right there. And I will show you how this works and then make one more suggestion. So here we input a number and we can put in 4. And that works. However, if we didn't have this end line and put a space after number, what will happen is the cursor will be blinking as if you were typing in the next word in this sentence. So as you type it in, it looks like a proper sentence. And that just seems to look nicer. Now let's add one more thing here. We're going to create a second variable. We could call it num2, and this is how we would write it. An easier way to do this, as long as they are all the same type of variable, is to just separate them by a comma and write them on the same line. So now we are saying int num1 and int num2. And then we will get two inputs. So we'll input one number, then a second number. And then instead of your number was, we'll say the sum of your numbers were, to keep the grammar correct. And then we'll put in num1 plus num2. And we will run this. You could put brackets around there if that helps you at all. So now we'll input a number, let's say 15 and 15, and we should get 220. Oh, sorry, we're not multiplying, adding, right. So So the sum of our numbers is 30. Now I'm not going to change the words, but if I change this to multiply and put in those same numbers, let's see, 15 and 15, 225, which is correct. So that is basically how input works. I thank you for watching, and I hope you subscribe.